All right, good morning again to all of the media and to all those persons out there in YouTube land, I suppose. My name is Keith Lecloy. I've been asked to chair this event, and I'd like to begin by making some introductions so those who are viewing and for the purpose of the media as well, so that when you're making your report, you could properly identify everyone. If I could start on my immediate right, and I hope that the podium isn't blocking him. We have Mr. Yeah, if we could move that, please, because up at the top here, we really have President's Row, if I could call it that. We have Mr. Shamdeo Gosain, who's the president of the Central Football Association. Next to him, and moving in my direction, we have Anthony Harford, who's the president of the Northern Football Association. Immediately next to me on my right is William Wallace, who is the president of the Secondary Schools Football League. To my immediate left, we have Susan Joseph Warwick, who is the president of the Women's League Football, Wolf. And of course, further away from me on my left and to Sharon's left is Raymond Timke, who is the immediate past president of the Ttfa, and who was all of us have a long history in Trinidad and Tobago football and the TTFF/TTFA.
I plead your indulgence. Mr. Taylor from the Referees Association, he's the principal of Mukapu Secondary School, as you know, and he would have liked to be. He said he may still come, but because they are doing registrations for new students, he's hard pressed to get leave to come.
Right.
So,
right.
So let it be noted that the Referees Association is being represented in absentia.
Very good. Yes, we have been told this, right? Absent, to continue, absent this morning among the presidents is the president, to repeat, of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Referees Association, Joseph Taylor. He fully identifies with what is happening here today. And then seated among us on the floor, we have Sam Phillip, who is no stranger to those who follow football, the manager of the 2006 national team that went to World Cup Germany, and a former chairman of the TT Pro League. We have Clayton Morris. No introduction necessary. Clayton Morris, that's all I need to say, captain of the famous strike squad. Yes, and we have one or two other people who are supposed to come in. Now, to get to the purpose of today's event, and then I'll call on people to make a few statements. Anyone who is following our football today know that we're in the depths of a crisis. I would just like to make a couple points, bullet points on that crisis, and we could itemize the signs of the illness that has Trinidad and Tobago football and the TTFA in its grips, and not necessarily in order of priority or importance. We have the debt crisis. The TTFA is faced with virtually insurmountable debt. We don't know how we're going to resolve it. The sitting administration, the current administration, is doing nothing to address it. We have the issue of the lack of transparency and accountability in financial matters. We have the ongoing issue of the court case that I myself have initiated surrounding the finances of the home of football in Couva. We have the issue of the collapse of the national teams program, right? The desertion is the only word I could think of properly to describe what has happened regarding the TTFA's handling of our junior national teams and our senior national teams, for that matter. Both genders, male and female, the teams have been deserted. We have the issue of the failure of technical administration. We have no functioning technical department. We have no functioning technical director. We have the issue of the collapse of the grassroots program. Youth football is in chaos. Women's football is in chaos, and I could go on. If you follow football in Trinidad and Tobago, you know that we're in the grips of a life-threatening crisis and existential crisis. Therefore, this group of people at the head table and those on the floor and those outside and yet to arrive have united to create, for want of a better term, a united front to save our football. I want to make a point. It has been far too easy over the course of the last 3 years for the media and the public as a whole, and even people in football, to say, look like again. Always look like. Today's media has headlines with look like when they're talking about the national coach and the disaster that was the 2019 Gold Cup. The headline is about look like. The head table here, and I'm appealing to you to make the story here today about the people at the table and the united front for the salvation of football that we have created, which has representation in every sector of our football. Club football, Pro League and Super League. Women's football, Wolf. Regions, North and Central. Youth football, the biggest youth football league in the country, and most important one, the secondary league. It is a broad, united front to save our football. It is supported, and we're going to be reading statements from players, and we have a video statement from players of note in support of what we are doing. So having said that and laid the table, let me make two other important points. This is the story we would like you to carry. We have created a front, a group, a body. Secondly, this group of people is given a commitment today that we will create a common, united, collective program for the development of our football, a roadmap to how we're going to save the Ttfa and Trinidad and Tobago football. Further to that, we give the commitment that once we have that program, which is going to be a minimum program, what is going to make it the maximum program and the defined program is the consultation and discussion to which we're going to submit this program to the members of the football fraternity and the wider public. The football fraternity is going to have its say in the final, to be redundant, definition of this program, and we're also going to open up the discussion to the public as a whole, because our football belongs to the public as a whole, all of us. The Ttfa is not our property, and it is not the property of the president or any officials of the Ttfa. So we're going to create a program that all of us going to discuss and agree on. And finally, we give the commit. This is going to be done by September. We give that commitment. It will be done by September. And finally, we give another major commitment, which is that this collective body, this united front, is going to create and come up with, develop a united slate of candidates for the next elections of the Ttfa, whenever these elections are called by David John Williams. It is going to be a united slate that we all agree on, that we will call on people to support. We're not prepared to do that now. We're in discussions among ourselves and with other people. The only thing we will say, and I'm saying it on my own behalf because I've said it before, the only name that is not open for discussion, for inclusion in that slate, is Keith Lukloy. I will not run in that election. I will support that slate. I will work with the new incumbents, and with the new administration, I will give them the maximum support I could give. I will not be an officer. Having said all of that, to set the context for today's meeting, if I could start, therefore, on my immediate right, I'd ask William Wallace, President of the Secondary League, to make some comments, please.
All right, President, good morning to all members of the media and head table.
Sorry. Sorry, I don't want to mash up anybody. Technology. Right.
We have we have heard Mr. Lukloy. And, you know, I want to make one point before I get into my specifics, that there are people who are saying that we have an agenda. And yes, I want the media to know that we have an agenda. I want the people of Trinidad and Tobago to know that we have an agenda. And the agenda is to bring back some sanity to Trinidad and Tobago football. That is the agenda. Today, I will be dealing with youth football since, of course, that's my forte. And I would like to permit me just to go through, and Mr. Timke is here, the period where Raymond was president of the FA. I'm doing a comparison with what has occurred over the last 4 years. Of course, preparation of our national teams was not a very important agenda under this administration, and we saw the results of that. Starting with our men's under-20 team. In 2014, we were Caribbean champions and fought in the CONCACAF group under Panama, USA, and Guatemala. 2016, from being champions in 2014, we finished fourth in the Caribbean tournament, and under Costa Rica and El Salvador in the CONCACAF phase. In 2018, the format changed. We did not have to qualify through the Caribbean tournament. We went straight to the CONCACAF tournament. We finished below Suriname and Puerto Rico. Now, some of the names that we are calling are countries where, at some point in time, there was no way that these countries could have competed with Trinidad and Tobago. So something has definitely gone south. Men's under-17 team. Third in the Caribbean under Raymond Timke. Current administration, we failed to advance past the 2016 Caribbean group stage, despite playing at home. And the recent under-17 team, well, we know about that. That went to Florida, that was put together in 6 weeks. Men's under-15 team. Well, during Raymond Timke, we did not participate in any competition. Under the present administration, we finished bottom of the group, conceding 21 goals. And we all remember the 8-1 drubbing that we got from Jamaica. Women's under-20. Before DJW, second in CFU and fourth in 2014, the CONCACAF competition. 2015, finished bottom of the CONCACAF group. In 2018, finished bottom of the CONCACAF group, playing at home. Women's under-17. Before DJW, we were champions in 2013. Got eliminated at the CONCACAF stage. In 2016, eliminated in the Caribbean semi-final round. Women under 15. Before DJW, finished third in 2014. With DJW, 2016, finished second from bottom in CONCACAF tournament. And again, you will remember we suffered a 22-0 loss to the USA. So we moved from 2014, where we finished third, and been beaten by the USA 22-0. And of course, in 2018, we did not appear in the tournament because we could not procure visas for the players on time. Could we continue down this road? Well, of course, we know about the men's under-23 team that was dismantled and abandoned. Primary school program, which started in 2018. That too, people complain about being treated disrespectfully by the president. That program, again, is a disaster. And of course, the secondary schools. We have called for a meeting because we think that we have an important role to play in development of football in Trinidad and Tobago. We have called on the Ttfa for a meeting. Let's meet. We have something that you can work with us on. We have 4 funding. We have safe facilities. We want to work with you. Yes, a meeting was called. The president told me to get it ready. I want to meet. I want to meet like yesterday. We met. Beautiful meeting with all the technical people. At the end of that, a MOU was supposed to be sent out to us. We did get one, but it was recalled in 2 days' time. It was recalled, and we were promised a new one. That's almost 2 years ago. We are still waiting. Gentlemen, ladies, gentlemen, the public of Trinidad and Tobago, we cannot continue down this road. Thank you.
The NFA has decided to join this cause because we are convinced that good leadership has completely evaporated in Trinidad and Tobago, good leadership of football. We also feel that there is very little chance of the current leadership recovering from the present position. We believe that they lack the skill, we believe that they lack the imaginative ideas to take us into the 21st century. In fact, I would go as far as saying that maybe they have even fossilized on the job. And let me explain why. The 2019 profit and loss statement from the from the Ttfa speaks to a projected loss in 2019 of $42 million, not including the home of football. This is printed and circulated to members of the Ttfa. We fully expect when you add the surprises of the home of football that is going to reach 60 million by the time we get to the elections. That is not frightening to us. What is frightening to us is the way the Ttfa has treated with its foundation project. By foundation project, I mean the zones. It is common knowledge that a house that is not on a secure foundation will not stand up. There are 6 zones in Trinidad and Tobago, which the NFA is one. I can give you the story of the NFA, which I believe will be echoed across all the zones in Trinidad and Tobago. NFA spans a geographic area from the Mova Junction on the east, right down to the Western Peninsula, and as far up the north coast as Blanchisseuse and Paria, including Santa Cruz, Maraval, Piti Valley, Diego Martin, etc., all of Woodbrook, all of Port of Spain. A huge geographic area. We manage 24 active clubs, 11 academies. There are always 6 or 7 clubs that are registered but not active in any given year, and thousands of youth footballers. We play competitions in the open divisions, under 20, under 17, under 15, under 13, under 11. We complete all our competitions. In 4 years since 2015, based on those limited information we get from the Ttfa, the FIFA has given in grants and funding to football in Trinidad and Tobago $60 million in total in the 4 years. $60 million approximately. Northern football received in those 4 years a total of $25,000 out of $60 million for the area I've just mentioned. Further, we are mandated by the Ttfa to pay an annual registration fee of $5,000. If we do not pay it, we are deemed to be non-compliant and inactive and will not be recognized as a member of the Ttfa. In other words, we must pay annually this $5,000. So we've received 25, we have paid the Ttfa 20. Northern football has run on $5,000 out of all the FIFA funding, out of all the government funding. We have not received 1 cent of government funding. That seems largely to be apportioned out to national teams and to the Pro League. So we have operated on $5,000. We can't continue like that. We have appealed to the Ttfa for balls, for bibs, for just small items to help us through our programs. We received no education for football coaches, administrators, none. In fact, North Zone ran its own course and had to pay for it to qualify some coaches at the C level. We had to pay. We partnered with the primary schools to complete a program. Since then, we've had 1 or 2 people do the B license course, and we've had to pay for those. So the situation is completely dire. It cannot be allowed to continue for reasons of just the treatment of zonal football, but the bigger reason of the governance of football. We have 2 members of the Ttfa staff who retired. One of them is here today, Peter Rampasad, and the other one is Delise Joseph, who served football all their lives, more than 20 years. Peter was the assistant manager of the Trinidad and Tobago team of 2006. These people are long retired. They have not received their gratuity payment as yet from the Ttfa. Delise Joseph has been crying for her money and has not received it. And the Ttfa has received $60 million. As a responsible president, I can't allow that to continue. And further, it pains us as a zone, as an integral and important member of football in Trinidad and Tobago, that a member of the board of the Ttfa has to go to court to get information on what should be in the domain of football stakeholders. It's unacceptable, and so we've decided that to join this movement is a must.
Yes, good morning, members of the head table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the media. I don't want to sound like a tape recorder after Mr. Hartford has spoken. What he have said, and the only thing that caught my really clearly, I just look at Clint, he got $10,000 more than us. So I want to say this to the public, that he's in better stead than we are in terms of Ttfa. However, I have been in football for some time now, and what I see is a fragmented system, hierarchy. They say things that are so untrue. What it is are they afraid of? A gentleman asks to get the audited accounts. By golly, it's not yours. It's not my company. It's not his company. It's a national sports. Why it is we can't put those things on the table? Tell us what it is that is received from FIFA. Tell us what it is that we should have clear in our minds what we are going to get out of this. And also, if you come together with us and understand what we are talking about, you cannot run football on $15,000 or $25,000. It can't even buy a kit of good football clothes today. So, what are we doing? Fragmented. We cannot get our grounds cut on time. The grounds are used for all sorts of things other than what is apportionate to it. So we go to the different regional corporations, the borough, and start talking to them about the usage and what we should get. But where is the backends? If it is that we are a group of people who are working in tandem with each other, we should not have a problem. But when we are fragmented, the way we are fragmented, there's nothing going to happen positively for football in this country. And it really bleeds my heart to know that there are people, and I know people with clubs, who put their hands in their pockets in their meager salaries and try and get club football off the ground. You might not know, but sometimes when you look at these guys, their meager wages, they take them and buy a boots or a player because they want to see football play. They want to get the people on the ground instead of having them on the streets. And if we understand that, I am not no supporter anybody who wants fragmentation. What I would like to see is cohesiveness. And the reason why I'm saying that, I don't want you to take, because a man stand up for a position, he's trying to fragmentate anything. because what is there is not working. It hasn't worked, and the goodly gentleman, before I spoke, as I say, I don't want to sound like a tape recorder, has clearly outlined the kind of issues that we have, and we are not going anywhere. Football have fallen, we have fallen so low down, I don't think the line on the road could keep us up anymore. It might even break the paint. So we need to move away from that. And if you, the public, because you own football, football is not owned by any particular person. This is a national sport. And just as when we say the government, you think we're talking about some people sitting on the hierarchy, the government is you. And so it is football, it belongs to you. And you, Trinidad and Tobago, who does not stand up for nothing, we talk in the background. When somebody stand up and talk, he's a troublemaker. Let's get out of that realm and start to talk about how we could get our football off the ground and stop looking the way we're looking. I mean, we really, if you're happy with the way we look, then don't do anything. But if you feel that this country needs to move forward with all that we have and all the talent we have, I urge you to get up and stamp your feet. Get up and let your voice be heard. Let us get out there and have changes, real changes. So with that, my friends, you know the burning issue is we have nothing. And we need to create something. Funding is a really harsh thing at this time, and we are finding ourselves in very difficult positions. In fact, when I got into office, the first thing I did was to increase the stipend that we give referees, because they wouldn't come in. They were saying, I mean, what am I coming here for? I wanted to make it in such a way that they see a reason for going to train, they see a reason for studying the game, and they see a reason for coming out so that we do better and better games. So we need we don't need people sitting in an office and beating up the chest because there is a president. We need thinkers and shakers to move this thing forward. And I urge you, the people, to get up and let your voice be heard. Forget about Lukloy and if he's a troublemaker. He's just one man. We are millions, 1 million plus. Let all of us tell Mr. Lukloy, hey, this is the direction we're going in. You are doing a good job. We are going to, as he said, he don't want to be president. I was happy to hear him say that. Of course, I didn't even know I was coming to this. But Clint think I am Django, so I could shoot from the hip. So anyway, as I said, let's get together and do this properly. Thank you very much.
To Sharon, I want to say it for the media, though. Right? He touched on an important point, and in the absence of the chairman of the president of the Referees Association, I want to make the point that the referees, I am a TTFA board member. Sharon here to my right, or Susan, her official name, right, is a member of the TTFA board as well. We know and could verify that Joseph Taylor, every meeting virtually of the TTFA board, is fighting to get things done for referees, and we always support him in his complaints that the referees program is not being funded out of FIFA monies as it should be, right? He's always saying, and we have supported him, money is coming into the TTFA for the development of refereeing, and the referees department doesn't have one camcorder by which it could make a video in Trinidad and Tobago with Trinidad and Tobago referees for the education of Trinidad and Tobago referees. So the issue of financial transparency arises, but it is not only in the boardroom that we have an issue where referees are concerned. We all know that there's a problem with the representation of the TTFA and the Trinidad and Tobago referee in CONCACAF and global football. There was a time when we had referees in abundance in global football, and surely in CONCACAF football. In the Gold Cup just concluded, well, to be concluded on Sunday, I should say, we had what? One assistant referee. One assistant referee. And that is a thing. There was a time when we had Clint Taylor is a former member of the official of the Referees Association. There was a time when we had 8 and 10 international referees. It has dropped now to one representative in the TTFA, in the CONCACAF Gold Cup. So if I could take the liberty to say a few comments on behalf of the referees. Again, in the absence of the president of the Referees Association, it would be that refereeing is underfunded. It is seen as an afterthought, although we all know that without referees, there's no official football.
Good morning, everyone. Being the lone woman at the table, I want to thank my male counterparts for inviting me here this morning. I'm going to make a statement on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Women's Football League. Ttfa would like to again state our previous stance. Consultation and cooperation is necessary if we are to take the women's game forward. If we sit on the Ttfa board as the body responsible for the development of women's game locally, it is baffling that we neither play an active role in decision making regarding the National Women's Program, nor are we even privy to decisions made until we hear it through a third party, which may be the media or the press like yourself. I think everyone here can agree that it's simply not logical for there to be disconnect between the stakeholders responsible for developing players for the national program and the people making the sole decisions for that program. If you are not consulting the national body, teams, coaches, etc., the people doing the groundwork in the women's program, how can you expect to move forward? The Ttfa continued stance to keep us out of the National Women's Program is unfortunate. We are here and desirous of taking the women's game forward, but we feel as though in many regards our girls are being disenfranchised by the Ttfa. We wish to know that mentioning that something needing further discussion and then going ahead and making the decision in private is not consultation or cooperation. Making a decision to host an under-16 women's tournament and reaching out to the University of the West Indies before even reaching out to Wolf, which is basically running right now with major stakeholders being the women, that is not cooperation or consultation. Actually, that under-16 tournament only has one team participating, Curacao. So that is not a tournament in my book. That's a friendly, because it's 3 days of games. So we can't be playing, we play in Curacao in 3 days? I need to understand that. Cooperation and consultation is having advanced conversations with TT Wolf on charting the way forward for women's football in TNT. It is working with the body who is in direct contact with the women's football stakeholders to understand the dynamics of the environment of the women's game and then how to move forward. We will not be deterred, however. We have accepted this responsibility, understanding the nature of the present relationship we have with the Ttfa, which is none, and to continue doing our part to develop women's football. While we lobby for change, we will also continue to increase and improve opportunities for our women's football players. I would like to also state, TT Wolf is presently the only league in operations currently with 12 teams participating for the last 3 weeks. That is something I think we owe kudos to our players, our coaches, and our teams that are participating, and I also want to thank them for coming out and supporting us. The referees as well. We have numerous referees contacting us because there's no football right now. So obviously, they need to come out and continue their game. I want to thank them personally, and I want to thank everyone here, and I want the public to know that we need help in getting the women's program forward, up and running. I beg for my senior players, my U20s, my U17s, my U15s. all these women teams that are right now, we need the women's football. We have too many tournaments coming up that we need to get teams in training and moving forward, hopefully with my group here, that we could do positive and great things with the Women's League of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And then we'll go to Raymond Timkey. Raymond Timkey, of course, needs no introduction. And let me put...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, gentlemen, ladies. Let me first thank Mr. Lookloy and Mr. Harford for inviting me to this event because I thought that, I am not the fighter that some people may think. They'd get out there and pull my sword and start. So if I have been quite silent, so to speak, and living in an environment of despair and regret and sadness, because I love my country, I am full of pride and shame, and I still have relationships with FIFA people who from time to time will call me, like presidents of other associations, and ask, what is happening to Trinidad? But what's happening to Trinidad? It is outside there that Trinidad is behind the eighth ball. So let me thank Keith and the others here. This is a wonderful team, and I say wonderful in the context of there's one voice I've been hearing from these people here, and the focus has been on uplifting and taking football forward, following the remit that was given to the association, to all associations, which is to develop football. FIFA's mantra is that football must be played in every corner of every country, and that's a major objective. Right? As a matter of fact, what FIFA has, there are 4 major pillars. The first is players. We're talking about how the entire industry has to look after those pillars. The most important pillar, of course, is the players, the people who produce the product. The second pillar is coaches who prepare the players. And unless you have referees to adjudicate and conduct the conduct of the game, then we do have a game. So we have, the pillars are players, coaches, referees, and guess what is the last one? And FIFA think is the most important one. Spectators. Spectatorship. It is right in FIFA statute. Just look there, you'll see it. None of the other entities got any preference or precedence over spectatorship. And the reason for that is obvious. Spectators are the ones who turn the turnstile and pay money, which we could pay back to the players, okay? And not apart from that, they build the enthusiasm among the players by the way they support. You know, the homegrown advantage. That has its own advantage. And therefore, what has been happening and what I've been seeing, I'm seeing Trinidad has the most tolerant society in the world. Because if our major sport, our pet sport for everybody, boys and girls, could be compromised and traumatized like this, and nobody's making any noise. I am sorry for Keith Lookloy. And you know what? I have asked people, we have some of the most ignorant people in this country. Keith, I say, okay, what did he say is wrong? But how yet? Oh, so you're not talking about the what, you're talking about the how. But that's a different thing. But tell me what he said is wrong. And he's quite right when he said everything is Keith Lookloy, look. It is unfair because he has the fortitude to come forward and say that I work with Keith for over 20 years in CONCACAF and FIFA. And I know the man. The animal is what you see. What you see is what you get. He's not pretentious. He don't play nothing, right? And what I hope is that the media would start to frame their releases in a way that that they do not point as if this bad man, this bad wolf is Keith Lucloy. It is not fair. Most importantly. So when I changed the constitution, or I insisted it includes that no president should be there for more than 2 terms, that was deliberate. That was deliberate. When you get too comfortable in a position, all kind of things happen because you know the terrain too well, that, and all the corners, and you know, I say, well, no, we wouldn't have that. There must be democracy. As fate would have it, I was succeeded by, and I'm not here, let me make something quite clear. I am not personality, I'm not attacking any personality. I'm looking purely at issues. So please, for heaven's sake, don't go and put in papers, Timki attack the president. I ain't attacking the president. I'm looking at issues and behavior, okay? I think I'm more than qualified to talk about that. The intention of the Constitution was to provide a guide or a blueprint, if you like, about how the organization proceeds. And if you look at the Constitution well enough, you'll see how many committees have been introduced. And that was for a purpose. The purpose was that each segment of football is important as the other. And therefore, we must have people as chairmen of those various committees who are in decision-making positions to guide the progress of football. And they are required by Constitution every other month to sit in a damn boardroom and give a report of their remit. Right? I understand here that there are months and no meeting with the executive. I changed the word from executive to board. You know why? The thinking has to be different. Right? Executive is more is execution, board is more visionary. And unless there's an understanding that if you look at the organization chart that was put in place, you have the general membership first, the board second, and the president third. So the president is the servant of the board and the organization, and it is not his private property. And that is what I see. I see utter foolishness. And you know what? As I said before, we have some people who posing as board members who are imps. And you know what? And guess what they get in exchange for their whatever? A plane ticket and line up in the airport.
For service render.
Yes. I mean, it is ludicrous. It is just ridiculous. You have your whole country and your whole nation and a whole industry in sports that's saving so many people's lives, and you playing with that because you could get a ticket. Friends will let friends drive drunk. Right? So if you sit in there on that board and you see your friend who is the leader going the wrong way, you have to tell him, hey, that's the wrong road. The only man doing that is Keith and a few people on the excuse for board. That's the excuse for board. I have chaired several boards in both corporate and government, and I can tell you, there's no way them fellas could even push a door to come in a board meeting. They are imps. And that is why each board member is supposed to come with a certain expertise, because so he lends variety, all to come together, right? To pull it together to get a desired, predetermined objective. When I look at this executive committee thing, it is that calling for jail, because it goes a completely opposite from the purpose. The purpose is when a board is not functioning for generally some emergency purpose, then the show had to go on. So there's this emergency committee who will now step in and carry the business of football. As it is right now, these board members are supposed to go to general membership and call for an election, because more than 50% of the football population in this country is not represented. And FIFA make it quite clear. If 50% not represented, then you have to call an election. And this is gleaned from the point or from the fact that not 50% of the board members are respected. They are all been excommunicated. So in effect, the executive committee is who is running football. That is not the intention. And I'm rather disappointed in Ozzy Dongner, who was the first person I called with Gweninkus and Richard Bradford, deceased, God rest their souls, to formulate this new constitution because we wanted to change it. I didn't like how it was going on, how things were shaped, and therefore those people were brought in because I know what they were thinking to shape it. Now, Dongner is still involved, he's still alive. And I am surprised that he has not been making more noise about these foolish stupidness that's going on in football. Gentlemen, football is, they're gone past IC. You know ICU is? Intensive care unit. They're going beyond that. They're right on the death's door. And unless a team like this, and I say team deliberately, not group, I say team like this, comes forward, crosses the line, and decide to carry football forward with the help of the media, most importantly, with the help of the media. The media people are those who let the national community know what is happening. When things happen good, talk about that. Not only Keith. Because all of us like the beard or something. Right? But really, you all have to help. Either a part of the problem or part of the solution. And right now, I imagine you all want to be part of the solution because we all love football, not so? We love football. So let's save it. Let's keep away from personalities and look at issues. Forget David John Williams. I really prefer not to have called his name because I said I'm not on personalities, I'm on issues. Let's look at taking football forward. I'm glad to see my coach here, Clayton, a gentleman, 24 carat gentleman. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to take our football and give it back some life, resuscitate it and take it forward. Let us start back, filling back the stadium. If I were to be fortunate to have any part of playing football again, one of the things I'll always promote is to continue what I started when I was president. And that is that Trinidad and Tobago football must be back at the top in CONCACAF because it was done as Williams shared, at the top of CFU as Williams shared, and certainly looking at the goal, which is there are two main goals. One is development and number two, World Cup. So this is a strategic imperative which I must thank this team for, and please, Mr. Clerk, you can invite me again, right?
Oh, sure.
Right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
The two written messages are the first one from Kelvin Jack, who of course is a 2006 World Cup player. Let me read it quickly, and I'm quoting here. There are moments when change must be pursued, and that time is now. There are moments when change must be pursued, and that time is now. David John Williams' continued ineptitude is having a negative effect that has debilitated football in Trinidad and Tobago. Our young players need the correct environment to improve and to grow. The current Ttfa leadership is incapable of providing such. David John Williams has demonstrated beyond doubt that he cannot improve the reputation of Ttfa or instill trust among potential sponsors and stakeholders in Trinidad and Tobago. I believe that the establishment of a united administration is of huge importance to lead the Ttfa out of the current mess that has made us a laughingstock among our rivals. End of quote. I also have a written statement here, from Maylie Attin-Johnson, former, well, she needs no introduction, just like Kelvin Jack, former national captain. Quote, "It is extremely imperative that the persons given the responsibility to run football in our country has the ability, aptitude, experience, knowledge, and humility to proper execute this responsibility to improve the inefficiencies plaguing our football. In the past, football in our country has experienced difficult times, but never as woeful and disastrous as the present. This current administration has taken our football beyond the depths of despair. Its members have acted in ways that have undermined and destroyed the bedrock of the sport in our country. If any of these men and women have any pride and patriotism, they will do the honorable thing and step down and allow for the rebuilding process to begin. Sport in itself is a powerful vehicle, and by extension, football. It is a sport that had a powerful impact on my life. It is heartbreaking knowing that the next generation of players will be deprived of fulfilling their dreams and the opportunities of representing our national teams because of the incompetence and dictatorship of this administration. End of quote. I have here a video message from Shaka Hislop. Football Association is sharpening the knives and waiting to be drawn with Ttfa at any level, with Trinidad and Tobago at any level in any tournament, and starting to count points. Then we're calling on all patriotic people to contribute to this. You've heard what the former distinguished players also had to say. The final commitment we gave to the media who came in late is that we're going to create a united slate. There are people at the head table who have declared, and on the floor, who have declared their ambition to run for president. This united team is going to mesh all of those ambitions into one slate so that there is no vote splitting, so that there is no A fighting against B to the benefit of C. That is not going to happen. We're going to be standing with one voice, shoulder to shoulder, against David John Williams and whoever he finds to run with him. I need to make the point, let's not forget that in the last election, 2 of his elected vice presidents fled the coup. They fled into the horizon, never to be seen again. Anthony Warner and Joan Salazar, when they recognized what was going on, they disappeared. And that is not going to be happening this time. No one person here is going to be a dictator. Not as long as watch me. I'm not running. I will be the ombudsman. I will be the ombudsman. That is the role I have taken on to myself. The bulldog, the bad dog, who if the next president and his or her cohorts want to start going left, you will start seeing Luklo in the papers again. That's my rule. All right, we could take the questions now, please. Well, it is not a faction. Faction has negative connotations.
We have a round table, so there's
What?
no head.
Hold on, let me deal with him. Let me deal with this question, I should say. Not with him. It is a legitimate question. So I want to it is a legitimate question. This is not a faction. Faction has connotations of some group in a corner. No, listen to me. We have regional associations represented at this table. We have elite football represented at this table, male and female. Yes? We have the 50% of the Pro League clubs have given us the authority to say that they are opposed to David John Williams and are with us. I don't care to name the names. More than 50% have indicated that they are with us. Yes? The referees are with us. The president, as we said, is a principal. This is registration week for the children who have passed the common entrance exam and so on and so forth. He couldn't be here. He asked us to speak on his behalf and to indicate that he is with us. We have former players with us. Eminent personalities like Shaka, Hislop, etc. This is not a faction. This is the cross-section of Trinidad and Tobago football. We have no leader. We have no leader. We sit together and we talk. The group asked me to chair. We have no leader. When the time is come, we're going to declare a united slate. It will have a president, it will have a candidate, presidential candidate, vice presidential candidates, and so on and so forth. But this is the group. That slate is going to be responsible to the cross-section of Trinidad and Tobago football and to the football community and the public as a whole. And I give you that commitment again. I don't want no post. My post is self-appointed. Because if I go on a slate, I'm saying it plainly, if I go on a slate, I will have to do what I told David John Williams I'm not here to do when I went to my first board meeting last year, which seems like an eon ago. My first statement in the board meeting was, I was not elected with you, Mr. President. I was not a member of your slate that was elected with you. And I'm not here to represent your slate or your views. I am here to represent my league, my constituency, and my broad constituency is Trinidad and Tobago football. And I give that commitment again to the public that the next people to be elected, if they start to go left, I will take up my responsibility to the constituency of Trinidad and Tobago. But that's another, I will answer. Feel free, anybody, but let me jump in because, of course, the headline this morning is about Lukloy, and it seems that Lukloy caused the national coach to win 4 matches out of 23. It would seem, yes. In fact, and you don't need to quote this, you shouldn't, in fact, it looks like the national coach needs armchair psychoanalysis because he goes all the way back to when he was in Malik when I was his coach 30 years ago. So that needs some deep psychoanalysis. Right? I don't care to respond to all of that. I'm saying yesterday, based on the reports I see in the media, a lot of excuses were advanced. You cannot advance the excuse of the TT Pro League is not being played, and Sharon pointed to that. The only league that is being played right now is the women. The Ttfa league, the T League cannot get off the ground because the promises that were made cannot be fulfilled. That's a separate issue. We ain't talking about that today. That can't be the story in my humble opinion. But 3 of the players who went to the Gold Cup play in the TT Pro League. If my numbers are correct, Lozano no doubt could correct me on that. It's 2 or 3 players. 98% of the players who went to the Gold Cup play abroad. So to say that the Pro League isn't playing and advance that as an excuse for why the team did poorly again is nonsense. Yes? Secondly, you have MLS players in that team that were either not used or misused or abused. I'm talking about Ranjit Singh, the goalkeeper, who is an MLS player, who by now, if I were he or I were his advisor or agent or father, I would have told him a long time ago to turn his ambitions elsewhere because the boy keeps coming on national courts and is yet to see the field. This is an MLS goalkeeper. With all due respect to Marvin Phillip, who had a great showing, right? You don't even give this young fellow, Ranjit Singh, a minute in friendly matches, yeah? He got some time against Canada, which means he could still leave because that's friendlies. That's a friendly, right? You have Jovan Jones, who's an established MLS player, who is a bit part player, almost an afterthought, and then you have Molino, who was entirely misused. I don't want to go into that whole business there. The issue of finance, it is the responsibility of the new administration to find finance. I'll be so bold, I'll be so bold. There are major entities already talking to people at the head table about major financing for a new administration. I will leave it there. This ain't old talk. This is not old talk. I will leave it there for now. I'm talking about major financing from major entities. Yes? They're not going to give a cent to the David John Williams administration, which has proven itself to be fine in terms of accountability and financial management. I'll be charitable. Has proven itself to be opaque, non-transparent. You don't know what's going on. Has given us a bad image. I am looking at the broadcast of Trinidad and Tobago against Guyana in the CONCACAF Gold Cup 2019 to hear the commentators saying that they're following what is going on in Trinidad and Tobago football and describing the appearance of Capelli, the new, apparently, kit supplier for the Ttfa, as Shirtgate. Shirtgate. And I'm embarrassed. I want to lick down my TV. Buying teeth no money, so I can't buy more. Right? This is the depths to which our football is being dragged on and off the field. So yes, Walter, we have the issue of how these teams will be prepared, but you could have $1 million. My last point is this: you could have $1 trillion. If you have no plan, then you will spend your $1 trillion in the worst possible ways. The problems of our national teams do not only revolve around financing, they revolve around planning and or lack of planning and maladministration, which is why at the very top I said we have no technical administration. The national coaches of this country will go to tournament after tournament. They will play match after match, official and friendly. And we are board members. Sharon is a board member, along with Rayshon Mars, the General Secretary of the NFA, who came in some time ago, is also a board member. They will verify. We repeatedly ask for reports on national team programs, on national development programs, on the coaching education program, on national team matches. We have not seen one report. So you know what that means? If there's no accountability, it means I could do what I want. Because I report to no one. Nobody will say this is not good enough. We need to replace this man or this person. And so it goes on and on and on. There is no reporting. And all of us are responsible to somebody. I'm responsible to my wife and my children. You feel I could do what I want? And if in football, people who have responsibilities for programs and teams could do what they want and feel safe in not reporting and being held accountable, then we end up in the mess that we have.
Well, I think it's too late for me to withdraw my commitment to this cause. I think, as I said, they have pretty much, in my estimation, fossilized. You can't undo in 3 months. I mean, elections are due in 2 or 3 months. What you have not done in 3.5 years. This has been consistent failures, you know. His failures have been consistent. This decision wasn't made overnight. This has been going on for years. We have, let me give you an example. You belong to the media. I-95.5, no offense against them, totally he's a friend of mine. We work together as youngsters and we remain friends to this day. Andre Batiste is my friend. And I keep telling him the same thing. I'm not against them. We stood up in meetings repeatedly and say, show us the contract with I-95.5, who are traveling around the world, paid for by the Ttfa, covering games. And we are simply saying, and we have been saying, open it up, allow other media to bid. Or let's form an international pool. if we can't take everybody, or if we don't want a bid system, let us develop a team, a cadre of commentators who we'll send around to cover Trinidad and Tobago and carry the appropriate stories. We earn no, as far as I know, no revenue from the I-95 contract. We have been promised that contract now for years. We have never seen it. A simple thing like a contract with I-95.5, my other delegates from North Zone who attend TTFA meetings are here, they can verify what I'm saying. It is too late. Why should Mr. Lokloy have to go to court to get accounts that are due to all of us? Why can't we know after 3 years who the contractor is who built the home of football? They think we are against the home of football. The idea of the home of football we love, we embrace. Look at what expense, at the expense of so much more. People can't get their funds. The creditors list at TTFA is like pages long. And we're trying to finish the home of football in record time. The NLCB program, Susan spoke about, and we all know it. The girls never got a chance to participate in their tournament last year. And this year, hastily arranged, virtually like a fit match, Curacao versus Trinidad and Tobago. Coming from the same NLCB funds, $2 million a year for 4 years. Why is it we have a boys team in training every single weekend? In fact, they don't even want them to play school football. And we don't have a girls team in training? And why are we using the NLCB funds to host Mexico and Panama? And we have not had interzone football in Trinidad. Do you know interzone football has not been played here since David came into office? No North-South senior, no North-South junior. There was one tournament, and that was to pick the current under-15 squad. One interzone tournament. And not a single member of the coaching staff of the winning zone has even been called to supervise training. Not a zonal coach has been given an opportunity. Not a zonal coach. It is bad, Sergio. You can't undo it in 3 months. Not to mention the obfuscation and the lies. It's like a malignant tumor. Can't recover from that. What we have found is in the course of our sitting down and chatting, as Keith indicated, a group of us, and it's more than just the people at the head table, it's more than us. We have been sitting down, we've been monitoring, we've been talking, we've been putting out our feelers, and businessmen have indicated to us a willingness to support football. As I indicated to you, by my estimate, and I think by our universal estimate, we are going to be about $60 million in debt. You will be told that that's not correct, but the published profit and loss, for 2019, the budget for 2019 projects a loss of $42 million. It's published, but it does not include the home of football. We have no idea what that costs. There is going to be an overrun on that, because right now it's a stalled project. It's not finished. It's stalled. So clearly all the money for that has gone, so there is going to be an overrun. And that's why I'm saying, by my conservative estimate, whoever goes into office will inherit $60 million. But what we are saying is that well-run, well-organized, we can win back the corporate sector. Because football is the people's game. There's no better investment for a sponsor than football. Youth football, senior football. There's no better investment.
That would be a soundbite anyway, but it's an important question. We have 6 zones, regional associations, yes? We have 2 represented here, Central and North. The others are in a state of flux. People at the head table, like myself, get calls with regularity. Well, I'm coming to them. I'm coming to them, right? I'm starting with the regional associations. There are 4 not represented here, right? But we get calls, we field calls on a regular basis from clubs in these regional associations begging for help to rectify the administrative and football situation in their regions. We have the Eastern Counties Football Union, yes, that has membership in the board, the representative of which flew off to Wales with the national team, that didn't play official football for 2 years, that did not put a representative into the Ttfa Champion of Champions for promotion to the Super League for 2 years. And you have a board member coming and sitting in meetings and going on a plane to with the national team to Wales. So the clubs now, I'm saying it openly, the clubs in these regional associations are intent on removing people ahead of the election in November. Therefore, the leadership of South, Richard Kwanchan, who is a cohort of David John Williams, Anthony Moore, Tobago, a cohort of David John Williams. I already talked about Sherwin Dyer, Kamau Bandele, who is the acting president or the vice president of the East, a cohort of David John Williams. The clubs intend to remove all of them. That's the first point. We talked about the referees. They are not present here. AYSO, I make so bold as to we are always in touch with them. They are with us. They are entirely dissatisfied. The president is out of it's American Youth Soccer Organization, and he is in California on AYSO business. But he is entirely with us. He is deadly opposed to what has been happening. I'm leaving the Primary Schools League. We have not approached them at all. They are under the Ministry of Education, and that is an entirely different political situation. And then you have the clubs, you have futsal, no comment. We have beach, no comment. They have 1 vote each. And then we have the clubs. Of the 43 votes, is it? In 47 votes? 47 votes in the general meeting that actually, these members actually do the voting for the president and vice president. 18 are from the TT Pro League and the TT Super League. We have a commitment, I said, from 6, probably 7 of those TT Pro League clubs that they will be with us when November rolls or the election rolls around. The latest it could go is the 30th, last day of November. Last day of November. It could be called before that. In the TT Super League, I make bold as to say that 90% of the clubs in the Super League will go with us and against David John Williams. There are people in the Super League who saying, Keith, let us forget this T-League and let's go back and play Super League. And I have been holding them at bay. They want to forget this T-League and go and play Super League. Yes? So I am saying that when we do the mathematics, and I'm saying it openly, now the other side is going to start scurrying to see how they could rectify the mathematics I just described. But as Tony said, right? And I'll put it in biblical terms. I think it's your left hand. If your left hand offend you, cut it off. Cut it off. We have reached the point now, not of surgery to fix, but surgery to eliminate.
To save.
To save. That is the point that we have reached, right? And the people who are saying that they are with us, come the election, are going to have to stand up and back that talk. And we believe that they will.
The election is not too far off. The group has it identified any potential candidates at least for the presidency?
All are potential candidates.
All. Except me. I always say that.
The truth is, we have to study the needs of the TTFA. We can't put a man for office because he wants office. It depends on the needs. We are assessing the needs. We know what they are. We think we're 90% there, but we have made no such decision.
Let me amplify that. There are 2 former players, well established, who have indicated publicly that they want to be president. I'll name them. Denzel Theobald and Kelvin Jack. Yes? I, Tony, Raymond Timke and others, William, we talked to more than these players. And I've told them plainly. I've told Jack for sure plainly. I said, Kelvin, you have a role to play because it is going to require the efforts of All of us patriotic people who understand our football and who have given their lives to it to dig us out of this hole. But you cannot be president because you don't meet the minimum requirements of the presidency established in the Constitution. Among them being, you have to have been involved in the administration of football for 3 of the preceding 5 years. You don't qualify. That does not say you have no role to play. Perhaps he has a key role to play. So at the level of administration or political administration, at the level of technical involvement, etc., we are speaking to people. People are coming to us saying they would like to assist, but we ain't touching them. We want no part of them, meaning the current and sitting administration. To come out of what we are in is not going to be easy, but it has to be done. Otherwise, what do? Shut down football? Over time and reflect the exigencies and the needs and the demands of the environment. That's what it has to do. So yes, the issue is that we always have to be looking at the Constitution with a view to making it more real and more responsive to the needs of the organism it is serving, which is the Ttfa. So yes, any new incoming administration has to look at that. What are the loopholes we need to close given the immediate and the not so immediate past experience, and as well looking into the future. For example, right now, it's something that has to be discussed as a concrete example. The removal of the president or any elected official. Do we need to look at codifying in the Constitution what has been called since the 1920s, when this country was fighting for self-government and then independence, the right of recall? Our forefathers and foremothers died for that in the 1920s. I'm talking about back in Cipriani and Butler days when we were fighting for self-government. The right to recall, we elect you to hold office, but at any time that we are dissatisfied, we also have the right to remove you. That is not in the Constitution of the Ttfa, right? We could pass a motion of no confidence, and then a brass-faced president like we have could say, so what? So, do we need to put in there that once we pass it, or whatever is the mechanism, we put you in, or we could put you out? That is an important issue, to keep political check on the elected officials by the people who put them there, because Raymond Timke made the point. The president of the Ttfa is third in the hierarchy, you know. It's the general meeting, the board, the president. The people we elect are also, they work for us. I tell David John Williams that today in a meeting, look, my witnesses here. And he feels because he's the president that we are there to abide by his wishes. And I had to tell him, you work for us. You have to respond to what we say. The leash can't lead, the dog can't lead the master. It can't. And the inmates can't run the asylum.